and this is where we are switching to part 3, which is called strategic capabilities. And there are 4 strategic capabilities to cover in this part, namely digital leadership, innovations, risk management, and organizing for digital transformation, organizing for digital strategy. That will be respectively chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the book. So we are starting part 3 now, and let's have a look at these 4 key strategic capabilities that are required at all steps along the strategy journey. So we couldn't map them to any specific step, and they are important at all levels and are for all parts of the strategy generation, implementation, improvement, etc. And the first strategic capability is digital leadership. It goes without saying that effective leadership is important for effective strategy realization. And it's also important and quite obvious that good leadership is more than just effective performing of the steps that we just have discovered, just have explored together. And leadership is a big topic, and you could find a lot on the topic in DPI. And basically it's a subject matter of its own, or maybe even larger than service management. So we won't be covering it in its entirety, obviously, in this training and in this book. But what is important is to highlight some specifics of digital leadership. You may remember in the previous chapter we were discussing leading the digital transformation, and we mentioned that it requires a combination of knowledge, a combination of competencies that are unlikely to be found in a single person, or to think of it in a married person, and it most likely requires a team. So let's have a look at digital leadership in a bit more detailed manner. So we'll look at this list of specific digital leader skills that we believe and the authors of the book believe are important for effective digital leadership. And the skills include digital mindset, communication, relationship management, effective relationship management, the ability to educate and to learn, not only to educate others, but also to learn, the ability to evaluate, to understand emerging technologies and industry trends and to use them wisely, and understanding of the agile management techniques. And it's a first word in the bullet list, so we have this agile capitalized, but in this sense we mean the agile from a small a. So not necessary specific framework, it shouldn't be Scrum or anything like that. It's just principles of agility. We'll have a look in more details when we come to the dedicated slide. 4 more skills for us to discuss are the ability and competence in measuring strategy, the topic we just covered, the ability to orchestrate activities in diverse environments, are very important skill and responsibility of operationalizing strategy, not leaving it just on the paper, but actually making sure that strategy is being implemented in the operational environment, and understanding of the business and of the technology. But now let's start with the first one, with the digital mindset. We define digital mindset as a set of attitudes and behaviors that constantly considers the possibilities that digital technology offers the organization and its stakeholders and look for ways to make those possibilities real. So this is a constant alertness towards digital trends, digital technology, and opportunities of digitization. We look at our business and we see opportunities for using digital technology effectively, or improving the way we use digital technology. We see our business as a digital business. This doesn't mean that we are going to make changes and implement technologies just for the sake of implementing technology. Focus on value is the key principle here. Focus on value, optimize and automate, not just automate. Start where you are using what we already have and what is sufficient or even more than sufficient for our business now. And other principles are also very important here, like progressive iterative with feedback, for example, is very important when we go for something new technology-wise. So we need not just to understand and promote new technology, but we are consider the value that this technology may bring to our organization, and we collaborate, and I would say, I would add here, promote visibility as well, with other stakeholders in our organization and outside of it, to make sure that our use of technology is relevant and valuable, not just innovative, in a way of using new stuff. Which implies that even if we are leaders of digital transformation, of digital strategy ourselves, most likely there will be some people above that we will need to obtain a commitment from, that we will need to involve in our evangelism of digital. So we need to obtain commitment of senior executives, not only in technology sector, but actually other senior executives in the company. Because what we are about to do is to change the way their areas of the company are currently working by digitizing finance, digitizing HR, digitizing operations, digitizing manufacturing, logistics, etc. It's very important to ensure that we have experts in the team who understand the business we are in, the business of our organization, and technology opportunities equally well. And it's not necessarily hire, it's also develop people, train people, because if good knowledge of emerging technology is somewhat achievable via hiring, then good understanding of our business can be only limited when it comes to newcomers, when it comes to people from outside of the organization. And there is another similar issue with hiring when it comes to technology. If we hire people who are experts in certain technology, they are most likely experts in yesterday's technology, at the best today's technology. If we want tomorrow technology competence, we need people in our organization that are able to explore emerging trends rather than just utilize the knowledge they have already obtained previously. And if we have these experts, if we have people who understand our business, whose job and main competence is to understand our business and our technology landscape, then it's a good idea to actually listen to them, even if we don't always like what they're saying. There are some cases where leaders do not really listen to their experts and are even fired at experts, and eventually end up having people of support or a group of supporters around rather than group of experts. And while sort of comforting for these leaders, it's usually harmful for the organization. And finally, instill to improve this digital mindset, to promote this digital mindset in the organization, across the organization. It's important to instill behaviors, language, metrics, rituals that are consistent with the vision and desired cultural changes at every level of the organization. The way we behave, the way we literally the way we speak, the way what we measure and how we start our days, how we run our discussions, how we monitor our times, so work time. So generally, the way we work is very important here, and if we are trying to instill this digital mindset and to become a digital organization, and at the same time keep promoting very old-fashioned behavior, language, metrics, and rituals, we are likely to get stuck in those. And this brings us to another connected and very important aspect to communication. So if we talk about effective digital leaders, then we expect that they will be able to to articulate and promote value that we are expecting for our business from digital and IT landscape, from digital strategy. These would be people who are communicating results of our digital initiatives and monitor how these results are perceived and met by the target audience. So we process feedback, we capture misunderstanding or confusion quite quickly, we address it, we take action to clarify as soon as possible. So we really are actively communicating. If you remember that principles and recommendations on communication and DPI or earlier in this book, you will remember these recommendations like email is not communication, communication is a two-way process, medium and timing matter, etc., etc. So these things are really key here. We are not just announcing something. We listen to the feedback and we address the feedback promptly. Frequent updates to stakeholders are in the format that those stakeholders prefer. How our initiative is going? Are we getting our value? Are we still on track? Are we still running in the right direction? You remember this key 3 questions and key 3 metrics for the strategy: progress, performance, and relevance. And this is usually what is interesting for our key stakeholders. And out of these 3 metrics are progress, performance, and relevance. The most important is actually results, outcomes. So we do inform our stakeholders about the progress and performance, but most importantly, we highlight what we managed to achieve and how it helped to our organization, not just outputs, but outcomes. And usually, to ensure that we communicate effectively, considering that we have multiple stakeholders with multiple needs and multiple different preferences regarding how they may prefer to receive communications and to respond to communications, we may need some sort of communication plan, and even sometimes we call it communication strategy. So we need a clear approach to communication that will be structuring and directing our communication efforts. Just because it's likely to be too complex to be kept in one person's memory or even several people's memory. And communication is a very important part of the next aspect of this leadership skills, and this aspect is effective relationship management. Probably at this point, it's worth reminding you that we significantly updated the relationship management practice, and it's not business relationship management as it used to be in version 3. It's not even customer relationship management as it could be renamed just to remove confusing business terminology. It is basically about both internal and external relationship. And it's important to identify stakeholders and to manage our relationship with different stakeholders internally and externally effectively. So this is more about stakeholder management than about sales. And we need to, as leaders or as people who are responsible for digital transformation and digital strategy implementation, we need to ensure that we are aligned with our stakeholders, that they receive value they expect, that they receive transparent communications they expect. They contribute to our strategy if they need to, if they have to, if we agree that they will be. And it's important to ensure the right type of stakeholder management. So we keep some stakeholders happy, we keep other stakeholders informed, depending on how important and influential and interested these stakeholders are. And at the same time, we need to especially when it comes to external stakeholders, we need to find an appropriate level of formality in our relationship. Sometimes it's a formal agreement. Sometimes it's a less formal strategic partnership agreement where we just agree to work together on dynamically defining our goals and putting some efforts into achieving those goals. So depending on the level of relationship, you may remember this basic cooperative or collaborative relationship from the DSV publication. We may choose different level of formalization of our relationship with the key stakeholders, especially when it comes to external stakeholders. And for many stakeholders, it will be important to ensure that they know enough, that they are skilled enough, that they are trained for the new technology and for the strategic and tactical and operational context of applying those technology. So education is a very important ongoing activity, where especially when we move from less digital to more digital organization. And this includes self-education of the leaders. We need to know what we will need to know tomorrow. So if you don't study, if you don't educate yourself today, the day after tomorrow, your knowledge is irrelevant. It's important to educate others, to educate peers, and to share your knowledge. I will refer here to that SECI cycle of knowledge management that moves tacit knowledge to explicit and then combine it and move it to tacit knowledge for other people. And it also includes educating external and internal stakeholders that are not directly involved in transformation, but will be benefiting from the fruits, from the results of this transformation. One of the aspects of this education is the technology education, understanding of emerging technologies and trends. This implies that we understand, first of all, we understand what we want to achieve. Then we understand what we currently have, what is our current architecture, including informational architecture, including technology architecture, and which components of this architecture are not perfect, and what can be impacted by digitization in business architecture, in information architecture, technology architecture. We need to understand our business model. We need to understand what we do, how we do it, why we do it this way, and how it can benefit or currently benefits from technology. We need to understand our portfolio and how technology heavy this portfolio is, and whether it can benefit from further digitization. And going deeper from business model and our portfolio, we need to understand our operating model and the key value streams, how the organization works, what we can apply technology to, where we can benefit from these new trends that are emerging, such as today, process mining, for example, is one of the emerging trends. And we need to understand whether we can benefit from this ML based analysis and modeling of our processes, or our processes are simple and obvious enough, and we don't need any enhanced analytics to understand and improve them. Do we know the actual journeys and experience of our employees and users, or we need some enhanced technology to understand them, just as an example based on process mining. And since we are going to digitize many things in our business, it's likely that we will benefit from increasing our collective competence, organizational competence in agility, in agile ways of working, in order to achieve better flexibility of the organization, in order to achieve organizational agility, as we described earlier. So digital organizations should be able to manage the high volume of innovation. They are likely to need it. It's not like a rule. We have must on the slide, but in fact, this is a natural need of this type of organization. And to do this, they may use agile approaches of different kind. And sometimes it will be capital agile, sometimes it will be small agile, but generally it's principles of agility which is more important. But some organizations prefer to adopt formal approaches, and the only word of caution here is do not become too attached to the specific approach. Do not make a cargo culting of this. Rituals are less important there than the principles. Agility is first of all mindset, and only then some daily rituals or techniques. We already discussed these are key metrics for the strategy and approaches to understanding how our strategy is going forward. So basically, this list of 3 bullets is again referring to understanding the progress, understanding the performance, and understanding the relevance. And this is what we need to continually assess as leaders of the transformation. Nothing new here, we just discussed it in chapter 7. In modern service landscape, service management landscape, in service ecosystems where many organizations are connected with many, where the very structure of business is very complex and multiple dependencies are important. In a complex technology environment, and even when we combine the two, and we find that, for example, technology landscape of our partners, of our suppliers, of our consumers is quite different from our own technology landscape, and we need to ensure integration, we need to ensure understanding, we need to somehow orchestrate things that are happening in a diverse business environment, cultural environment, technology environment, or especially if it's not just a small local company, but if we operate together with partners and suppliers from different cultural landscapes and different countries. So this really needs our effective leadership styles, really needs understanding of the specifics of each partner and each aspect of this diversity. And we need to be able to switch between them and effectively use the benefits and mitigate the disbenefits of this diversity. And this is important for the next key capability of a digital leader. This orchestrating is not just in order to get them beautifully aligned. This is about enabling and operationalizing our strategy. As leaders, well, any leader probably, but especially leaders in this digital strategy implementation sometimes find themselves in quite uncomfortable position. Because on one hand, we need to look like 2 steps forward. We need to be a visionary. We need to understand what is likely to come next, not what just have come. On the other hand, we need to ensure that this is not just about theoretizing, that we are not building some cloud castles, that we are actually pragmatically applying this to our organization, and we ensure that the benefits are realized, not just imagined. This is a difficult balance. So we need to be able to switch between this visionary and operationalizing positions. And again, certain mental agility, flexibility, and the ability to operate in diverse and generally, let's say, VUCA environments is an important prerequisite for this. If you can switch between the context, if you can change roles and attitude and see these different leadership selves at the same time and apply what is relevant, that may work. That sometimes work. And finally, business and technology management skills. As I mentioned already when we were talking about leading digital transformation, the main problem of digital leaders or IT managers, if you like, is probably that we are not, if we are very good at digital, we are likely to be not very good leaders. And if we are IT, we are likely to be not very good managers, or the other way around. And if we are very good leaders and managers from a non-IT background, then we may have difficulties not only with understanding of technology, but also with our respect and acceptance in the IT community of the organization. So it's really important to combine the two, to understand the business and to understand the technology and technology trends. This is not about like minimum, like I said in the slide, on the slide, level of skill and knowledge that qualifies to lead the organization. It's actually more than minimum. If we are expected to lead a digital transformation in the organization, we need to know this organization inside out. Let's summarize. We'll look through this list of the digital leader skills. Many of them are not that easy to achieve. but they generally are quite important to successful leadership for digital transformation. So there are recommendations here. Understand what your strong features are and exploit them. Understand where your weaknesses are and further develop these skills. And in addition to this development, consider building a leadership team that will together jointly combine all the needed skills in the right proportion. I will give you just one analogy. You may be aware of that book by DITS about an ideal leader and why it's not possible to become one. And this quite famous typology for leadership skills, PAIE, that DITS proposed. And it's not even important right now what that book, what that letters stand for. What is important is that it's virtually impossible to combine highly developed skills, all four highly skills in one person. So you need to understand what you lack in that collection and purposefully work on developing those. But it may be useful also to consider compensating lack of certain of these skills in yourself by building a team that will together combine all these at appropriate level. Well, at high level.